CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Quick stimulus update on negotiations. So the good news is what is on the table is still what would help most Americans as well as small business owners, which is the PPP, the $1,200 checks for adults, $500 for kids, and unemployment. Those amounts still unknown. Who qualifies still unknown. On the stimulus checks, it seems obvious it'll be if you qualified last time, you'll qualify this time. If it was that your stimulus check was dependent on what you filed for 2018, most of you have filed for 2019. By the time the stimulus check comes around, it would be after October 15th, and you should have filed your individual tax returns for 2019 because that's when they're due. So I would assume that the economic stimulus payments that would be sent out would be based on 2019. So that'd be the only difference for you, is if your stimulus check was based on 18, it would now be based on 19. Now, here's what's interesting. Pelosi has indicated that they are making progress. That must be behind the scenes with the White House. I know that Pelosi, the Democrats in the House, are talking with the U.S. Secretary of Treasury. The Republicans don't seem to be at the table in the Senate as it relates to these negotiations. What's part of the HEROES Act that passed in May, the $3.3 trillion, has been knocked down to $2.2 trillion. The Democrats know that the Senate or the Republicans want still less than that in the next stimulus package. And so what has been dropped from the negotiations, if you will, is the benefit for student loans to be forgiven. A couple of quick things to note is that October 15th is the last date to let the IRS know where you are. So if you should have been a recipient of the last stimulus check, you need to reach out to the IRS. If you've gotten a new address, you need to go to the irs.gov, to the non-filers. If you go to irs.gov, you're going to find exactly what you need to get that check. Now, if they haven't found you and they haven't sent you a check, the IRS should by now have sent you a letter. So if you haven't received that letter, you need to get on irs.gov, because what the IRS has indicated is that if they haven't sent you the money by October 15th, as in they haven't found you, you haven't reached out to them, then you won't get it until you file your 2020 tax return next year. One of the interesting things as well is that Pelosi has indicated to the airline industry that they should not let go of their employees, because the airline industry that's been hurting indicated that they're going to be, in the various airlines, that they're going to be laying off a lot of employees. So Pelosi has said, hang on, there will be specific aid for the airlines. So for Pelosi to say that, I find interesting. If memory serves, typically the Democrats, Pelosi, would consider the airlines big business, and they've used that as kind of a negative in terms of the Republicans wanting to allocate a lot of money to the airlines. So my point in saying that is that for Pelosi to specifically state to the airlines, hey, don't let your employees off because there's aid coming, also makes me really feel as though Pelosi feels strongly that there will be a stimulus package. Remember, Pelosi said that the House will not go home until there's a stimulus package. I know that the White House, Donald Trump, is eager to get a plan. Donald Trump has indicated that he will get the Republicans back to the table. Right now, Mitch McConnell has been silent. He's the Senate Majority Leader. And in fact, the Senate Majority Leader has suspended his chamber, which means that in essence the Senate is closed, if you will, until October 19th. The reason for that is that 3 senators have tested positive for COVID, but Senator Mitch McConnell said that he will bring the Senate back, open it up, if there is a stimulus package to vote on. So I do feel like what the Republicans are doing, in essence, is letting the Democrats figure out what the plan's going to be, work itself through the negotiating process with the White House, which includes the Secretary of Treasury, work through the negotiations with Trump. I think they're going to probably let the House go ahead and vote on something, and then the Senate will look at it, probably line item a few things to either increase, decrease, see what the negotiations bring forth. So it sounds like we're moving in a positive direction as it relates to that. Slow go for sure. A couple of interesting items to note as well. The IRS is going to pay out $100 million worth of the $1,200 stimulus check to those that were imprisoned or are in prison. So there were some of those individuals that qualified. The IRS had sent money and then pulled it right back. So whether they sent it or not, a judge ruled that the IRS still needs to pay it. So the reason I note that is that if you see any headlines on YouTube really indicating that $100 million is going out and new stimulus checks are going out, it would be for those families or individuals that have been in prison during this time. And it is out of round one. So it's not anything related to what is coming potentially in some new stimulus packages. Interesting, the Dow jumps over 300 points because of the stimulus progress. The only reason I even note that, because I never do, is that it does seem as though even Wall Street is getting more positive to think that there's going to be some stimulus that's going to be coming about. So that's a quick update, kind of what's going on really with negotiations. And as things progress and as there's more details to provide, I will let you know. Other than that, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. Please click it. I try and bring only stimulus updates that have some meat to it and that show whatever the status is from the standpoint of something you can rely on, if you will. I'm going to have some PPP updates coming out as well. The SBA came out with a new notice related to PPP, so I'll be addressing that. So look for that video here in the next 24 hours. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, hey, have a great one.